My name is H.A. Goodman. I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Hit subscribe to this channel. Check out my Federalist article below, Why Bernie Sanders Supporters Should Vote Trump 2020. I want to read you something from the Washington Post. Michael Cohen, and by the way, check out my Second Amendment channel as well. I'll be uploading something today, that awesome segment. Michael Cohen faced jail time for the rest of his life. Cohen was facing, this is a Newsweek article that is linked to the Washington Post article from Bradley Smith. I'll just read you what Bradley Smith wrote. The former Federal Election Commission chairman, Bradley Smith, the former chairman of the Federal Election Commission, is a chairman of the Institute for Free Speech and a visiting fellow of the James Madison program at Princeton. When he's writing, there are no campaign finance violations. Hush money is not a campaign finance violation, okay, for numerous reasons. But Michael Cohen was risking life in jail. Cohen was facing multiple tax and fraud charges that could have landed him in jail for the rest of his life. Even if he beat the campaign finance allegations, by pleading guilty, he limits his jail time to just a few years. This is Bradley Smith, August 22nd, 2018. He goes on to say that if this is personal use, money, personal use, and it's not funneled to an LLC like what's taking place with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, possibly, where she took where she took Justice Democrats' money, $1 million, or her campaign chairman, and funneled and actually took that $1 million from Justice Democrats into an LLC, into a corporation, without notifying the FEC. That's a serious, serious thing. That's all possible. That's an allegation. The hush money issue and what the New York Times and what the Washington Post are doing, they're saying it's a criminal scheme. The Trump Jr. First of all, and Trump Jr. signed checks. Look, this is what happens when you don't aggressively. Well, he should have fired Mueller and let the chips roll where they may. He should have simply fired Mueller and simply said, "Look, you got CrowdStrike." I go over this always, but Steele dossier and CrowdStrike, the basis of all of it is nonsense linked to Clinton's funding. Who's running again in 2020? But the point is, you could have dismantled this if you were President Trump. And I don't care what there was one White House lawyer who dissuaded him from doing any of this, and he listened to the White House lawyer, and unfortunately, we're at where we're at right now. But Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to violations, campaign finance violations that weren't crimes. He pleaded guilty only because he was facing life in prison for major tens of millions of dollars in fraud and tax evasion. Tens of millions. You deal when you're at Manafort level here. That have nothing to do with Trump-Russia collusion, but you're at Manafort level. Tens of millions of dollars. Big deal. Okay? He now got that all reduced because he helped revive a non-scandal that's already ended. The Mueller probe has ended. The quest for Trump-Russia collusion has ended. They are just trying to implicate the president and his son, Trump Jr., in anything possible. Now they're saying Trump Jr. signed checks to reimburse Michael Cohen for hush money. First, they said if Cohen wasn't reimbursed, it would have been illegal. It would have been illegal. Now it's there. Now Cohen's reimbursed. It's still illegal because it's a hush money payment. It wouldn't have affected the election had people known anyway. The Access Hollywood tape proves that. Yeah, you know what? Okay, and nobody cared. And it was a personal expense because he would have made the payment prior to the election. That's the issue. He would have made the payment prior to the election. That's what makes it a non-event. That's what Bradley Smith talks about in the Washington Post. It is a personal expenditure that is 100% legal. Hush money is, okay, if you have a romantic relationship with somebody and you pay that person to keep quiet, that is not illegal. That is not illegal at all. That person signs a document that says, I'll keep quiet, give me the money. It's not so much hush money. That person is willingly hushing up, not saying anything, keeping it secret. And guess what? That person can still open his or her mouth and say, yeah, you know what? We did this. Then that person would be open to a lawsuit saying, hey, because, hey, you signed the document, you took the money, you promised not to say anything. It's like a confidentiality agreement. But Bradley Smith explains, the former Federal Election Commission chairman explains. Now they're trying to get Trump Jr. on testimony. This is all nonsense. Clinton actually committed crimes. She actually committed crimes. Major, serious violations that were covered up by James Comey. When you hear the phrase, no drama Obama, how can you have drama when the media does not look into serious violations and crimes? When you can engage in blatant lies. Oh, I didn't know that my own Secretary of State had computer servers, numerous ones, outside of the United States government. Oh, I didn't know that my own FBI was using a dossier of gossip and nonsense and bogus stories written by an opposition research firm that hired an MI6 agent. You mean to tell me President Obama didn't know that? Could you imagine if Trump presided over those two scandals? I have never seen, and this is like, we go from the Bush administration, which, I mean, the two counterinsurgency conflicts that he got us into, Bush, makes him the worst president of all time. After Vietnam, those were two of the greatest foreign policy mistakes that have ever taken place in U.S. history. But the media didn't go after him the way they're going after Trump. With Obama, whether it's a whole bunch of scandals, Fast and Furious, you can go through the list. The media definitely didn't go after Obama. Definitely, and you can say, well, he was subjected to a lot of, yeah, that's true. Fox News was out of control. And back then, sure, Fox News was out of control. I still agree with that. Right now, Fox News is a heck of a lot more sane than MSNBC. Okay? The tables could turn 10 years from now. But you have a situation where they're going after Trump based on suspicion. They're going after people based on innuendo, suspicion, possible, no evidence of an actual crime. No evidence of an actual crime. Like today, for example, check out my latest segment on AOC's new ethics violation allegation. She set up a House.gov email address for her boyfriend who technically isn't a part of her staff. That's according to what I read. Now, that could be wrong. It could be just an allegation that has no bearing on reality. Fine. But that, in and of itself, is an act that raises a great deal of questions. There is no act that Trump has committed that raises questions. It's perfectly legal to pay anyone you've had a romantic relationship with. And it's perfectly legal to do so during the election. Why? Because if you can survive the Access Hollywood tape, this is actually one of the reasons why. He's not he didn't run on a moral platform where, this type of extramarital affair would have tanked his campaign. That's number one. But even before that, 1A is, like I keep saying, if it's a personal expense he would have made at any other moment of his life, even if he weren't running, it's not a violation, according to Bradley Smith. Personal expenditure is allowed. And it's a personal expenditure if you would have used the money for any other purpose. It is not a personal expenditure. It is not a personal expenditure if you purchase a Steele dossier by funneling money through a law firm. Now, I find it hard to believe that William Barr isn't going to do something. And could I be wrong? Sure. I'm not saying trust anything, whatever. I could be wrong, but I find it very hard to believe. Very hard to believe. I find it very hard to believe that you have actual criminal endeavors that were criminal acts, legal statutes that were broken by Clinton, just completely shredded apart and covered up by James Comey. You have a fraud committed with Strzok and all of them, and all the FBI, a fraud committed regarding utilizing a Steele dossier. You have Andrew McCabe, James Baker, who agreed with me in 2016 that Clinton would get indicted. You have all of these issues, and I find it very difficult to believe that the tables won't be turned. How can they not be turned? What's happening right now is that the media has taken the baton from corrupt intelligence chiefs, and then they're running with it now. Mueller doesn't. His report. They've ended. His report is done. His probe is done. They found nothing, absolutely nothing. They found absolutely, positively zero evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. Could you imagine if the same vigor and intensity were utilized to look at Clinton? And with Clinton, they found legal statutes, and then they said no reasonable prosecutor or prosecute. Here, they're not finding any legal statutes that he violated, but they're looking every nook and cranny. Oh my God, what can we do? It's so obvious. And what William Barr has to do is find. I mean, the guy eventually has to expedite the Andrew McCabe issue with a grand jury, or James Baker at the FBI, or get people to flip and sing. Clinton doesn't have to get indicted before the election, or even investigated. If McCabe is indicted, it's game over for Clinton. If the McCabe issue or James Baker or anyone around in the FBI, the corrupt FBI establishment that allowed Clinton to get away with it, if there's a Strzok investigation, at least that's essentially a Clinton investigation. So, but they're going after Trump Jr. They're trying to go after Trump Jr. They're trying to say, oh my God. They're trying to utilize any possible way to oust Trump. Because really, at the end of the day, they have nothing. They have nothing. And the Trump administration right now, I mean, you have Michael Caputo, a former staffer who is not complying with, who is refusing to comply with these ridiculous demands for documents, these subpoenas, based on nothing. And that's a good thing. You have the White House also kind of fighting back a little bit. But now it's like you have to do something. You have to act decisively. Like, I would actually, if I was Trump right now, I would just fire Mueller. He has the right to do that. Let Democrats go crazy. Let them go nuts. Let media obsess. It's good for him. I mean, it's already done. This whole or give Mueller a deadline. If you're not done by a certain time, that's it. You've had 2 years. You found nothing. Now you're just trying to create havoc for no reason. You're an extension of the Democratic Party. There are people. Can you believe there are people on the left who actually think the Mueller probe is this saintly, honorable endeavor? Always Johnny Ramone. I always see the camera angle is. Can you believe that they are completely, they have no clue what CrowdStrike is. They have no clue what the Steele dossier is. And I'm telling you, this is why this channel is important. I'm the only person in all of YouTube who is, well, Tom Fitton is like the best regarding all of this, but I'm the only person who is telling you that Clinton is running again, and all of this links to Clinton 2020. All of this is nonsense. All of this is part of a corrupt Democratic Party that is eventually going to implode from the weight of its corruption. You see that right now. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe. Check out my Second Amendment channel. Thank you so very, very much. My Patreon link is below to support my voice long term. Thank you.